Good evening and welcome to Norton Park, Widnes for this Slalom Lager Alliance fixture between Widnes and Warrington. Two teams have arrived onto the field, so I'll run through the teams for you. The Widnes team at number 1 is Dave Myers, number 2 is a trialist, number 3 Dave Marsh, and another trialist at number 4, and Turner is at number 5. Jonthan Davies is at 6, Andy Sullivan at 7. There's another trialist at number 8, Colin Rigby at 9, Dave Lamb will play at 10, Chris Ashurst at 11, Dave Smith at 12, and Phil Horton at 13. A trialist at 14, and Critchley at 15. The Warrington team fullback is Damien Gregory, number 2 Kevin Rea, number 3 Chris Rudd, and number 4 Mark Foster. 5 is Paul Reynolds, 6 Mark Roberts, and 7 Frank Malloy, and 8 Phil Capewell, 9 Kevin Tomati, 10 Phil Sumner, 11 Mike Thomas, number 12 Nigel Geary, and number 13 Dave Harris. Substitutes are number 14 Nigel Kenyon and number 15 Brennan. Your referee for tonight's game is Mr. S. Nicholson. The touch judges are Mr. Palmer and Mr. Lethwaite. So in the first half, Widnes will be playing from right to left, and will in fact be playing into a very strong wind. Obviously a good attendance again for this 18 match, as was last week, with Jonthan Davies playing what we feel will be at least half a game this evening at standoff for Widnes. And in fact it will be Jonthan Davies to start the match, as I say, kicking into this stiff breeze, and he gets the game underway. A long kick down towards the Warrington try line, and the right wing is brought down on the Warrington 25. Obviously this being a derby match, although it being an A-team, between these lads just the same sort of effort put into these sort of games as the Widnes and Warrington first team games. So Widnes pinched the ball through Ashurst, and so immediately Widnes in a good position to move the ball from the Warrington 25. Colin Rigby at halfback, but a knock on results in a scrum down just outside the Warrington 25. Scrum wheels around, but it comes out on the Warrington side, where Frank Malloy plays the ball, and Warrington now attempting to move the ball away from their own 25. Kevin Tomati, a former Widnes favourite here, used to play prop forward for Widnes, and a very popular captain he was as well of Widnes. A long kick downfield, but that taken by Dave Myers on his own 25. A strong run by Myers, making good ground for Widnes. Trialist prop forward for Widnes. And Dave Lamb bringing the play up towards halfway. Kick by Jonthan Davies. That goes in touch on the full. The linesman signalling that the ball must come back. And Mr. Nicholson says that it will be a scrum down 10 yards inside the Widnes half of the field. Frank Malloy for Warrington. The referee deciding there was an infringement by a Warrington player in the pack and has awarded Widnes a free kick. Safely in touch from Jonthan Davies. And that takes play 15 yards inside the Warrington half of the field. Rigby with the tap penalty. Lamb with a good run at first receiver there for Widnes. So a chance for Widnes to move the ball early in the game. Sullivan. A long pass, but intercepted by the Warrington standoff, Mark Roberts. Mark Roberts returning tonight for his first game after a long layoff, after a broken leg. And we know what a good player Mark was in the first team at Warrington. So we wish him all the best. A good break by the Warrington prop forward, looking for men in support. A good run this, but a good tackle, covering tackle from Sullivan, but an excellent run there from Phil Capewell, taking play well inside the Widnes 25. Mr. Nicholson decides that tackle on Mike Thomas was too high and has awarded Warrington a free kick just outside the Widnes 25. And so Mark Roberts for Warrington has elected to kick for goal with a chance then to put Warrington into an early lead. Just to the right of the post.
Penalty for Warrington at number 6, Turner.
And so with about 4 or 5 minutes of this game gone, Robert Turner puts Warrington into a 2-0 lead. So Jonthan Davies to restart the game for Widnes. A good deep kick down to the Warrington try line. Picked up by Paul Reynolds, who takes play back towards his own 25. Mr. Nicholson awards Widnes a free kick, an infringement by the Warrington player at halfback. And a chance then for Widnes to draw level straight away. Again, another good turnout here at Norton Park this evening. The grandstand well full for this A-team match. And like I said last week, obviously the spin-off from the signing of Jonthan Davies will still be felt throughout the club for a while yet. Well, the Widnes captain Colin Rigby leaving the field with what appears to be a shoulder injury, and is being replaced by Critchley, the number 15. In the meantime, Jonthan Davies on the 25. But pulls that attempt across the face of the goal, and the score remains after 6 or 7 minutes of this first half. Warrington 2, Widnes 0. So Robert Turner with the drop out from his own 25. Picked up by Dave Myers. And another strong run from Myers, back at the Warrington defence. Excellent play. Widnes moving the ball and supporting well. And a very strong run indeed by Ashurst, with the ball going to ground. And the Warrington centre, Chris Rudd, picks up that ball. It's on Malloy to Tomati. So good support play by Widnes there, trying to wind the speed of the game up. Good short ball again from Malloy. Almost got Sumner through a gap. Turner with a long kick downfield, but the linesman signalling that ball went in on the full again. And so it'll be a scrum down, 10 yards inside the Warrington half. Very strong wind blowing from left to right as you look at the game, and obviously tricky conditions for the kickers of both teams until they settle on the strength of the wind. But a free kick to Warrington, and that will be a tap penalty, 15 yards inside the Widnes half. Malloy, short ball to Tomasi, met by two Widnes forwards. Warrington still keeping the ball going, good support from the forwards, switching it one way and then another. That ball going loose. Now a chance for Widnes to move it to the left. Jonthan Davies taking over the role at half-back. And the referee noticing some foul play by the Warrington number 8, Phil Capewell, and awards Widnes a free kick 15 yards inside their own half. Jonthan Davies with a very good kick. Very safe touch-finding kick, takes play deep inside the Warrington half. So it's a trialist centre with a short ball to Lamb. Widnes now attempting to work a position with the forwards around the Warrington 25. Trialist prop forward there, taking the ball into the centre field. Now a chance for Widnes to move the ball. Attempted short ball from Sullivan. The referee says play on. Now Davies. Dave Myers joining the line, but the Warrington cover quickly across. So already early in the game, the tackling from both teams very keen, as you may expect from a Widnes Warrington clash. And at times a little over keen, because Mr. Nicholson has awarded Widnes another penalty just outside the Warrington 25. So a second chance for Jonthan Davies to pull Widnes level with about 11 minutes of this game gone. So just to the right of the post, Jonthan Davies. Well, a poor kick into the wind by Davies. And the score remains after 12 minutes. Warrington 2, Widnes 0. Robert Turner with another very good long drop kick out. But as I say, he's got a strong wind behind him. And Dave Myers is going to be a busy player in this first half. Strong run from the trialist prop forward for Widnes there. 2 or 3 Warrington players bring into ground, as they do with Dave Lamb. So Andy Sullivan, a half-back. Now a chance for Widnes to move the ball. The trialist centre stepping inside, doing very well. But a good cover tackle from Kevin Tomati. Widnes make ground into the Warrington half. Horton with a long pass to Dave Marsh, who steps out to that tackle, bringing play across to the left-hand side. That pass going to ground, and in fact Kevin Tomati drops on the loose ball for Warrington. Nigel Geary going himself from half-back, taking play up just towards the halfway line, but Mr. Nicholson ruling that one or two Widnes players were in an offside position and has awarded Warrington a free kick 10 yards inside the Widnes half. So with this very strong following wind, Robert Turner is electing to kick to goal from about 8 yards inside the Widnes half of the field, just to the right of the posts. An excellent kick from Robert Turner. The linesman signalling that's another 2 points for Warrington. And so with about 14 minutes of this first half gone, Warrington move into a 4-0 lead. Davies restarts the game for Widnes with a strong kick towards the Warrington try line, where Phil Reynolds brings play back towards his own 25. Obviously in the first quarter of the match, both sets of forwards, as you would expect in a derby game, feeling each other out, and perhaps the tackling is on top at the moment, but a good break here by Warrington. A chance for them to move the ball to the right. And Frank Malloy for Warrington. Tomati takes play up towards the halfway line. Turner trying to kick the ball downfield, it hits a Widnes player, and Andy Sullivan picks up the loose ball and does well to get back to halfway.
Come on, back him up. Come on, Smith,
Dave Myers with a long kick downfield, and in fact turns out to be a very good kick indeed, gaining good yardage for Widnes. A really good kick against the wind, taking play inside the Warrington 25. So it'll be Frank Malloy to put the ball in for Warrington. But Mr. Nicholson not happy, and has awarded Warrington a free kick. So Robert Turner, with a safe kick for touch, takes play 3 or 4 yards from the halfway line. Nigel Geary at halfback to Kevin Tomati, where he's met by Lamb and Smith. Mr. Nicholson quickly in, and he's having a word with Kevin Tomati. and has awarded Widnes a free kick. Jonthan Davies then with the free kick for Widnes. Another very safe kick in against this wind. Takes play midway between the 25 and the Warrington try line, so a chance for Widnes. So the trialist number 8 for Widnes takes Widnes towards the Warrington post, and a chance for Widnes to work a position. Plays the ball to himself and now lies 5 or 6 yards from the Warrington try line. Sullivan trying to work the short ball to Horton. That ball going to ground, and in fact Warrington pick up the loose ball and try to bring the ball away from their own line. And the referee deciding that was an unfair tackle by Ashurst, and has awarded Warrington a free kick 10 yards from their own try line. Robert Turner with a very strong kick into touch. And so Nigel Geary will tap the ball 10 yards inside his own half. The referee early in this game being very keen on these illegal tackles and offsides, and so perhaps the game is stopping and starting rather too much for the crowd's liking. And indeed, the linesman on the far side coming in to have a word with the referee. And Mr. Nicholson has a word with the trialist brought forward for Widnes, and which results in a free kick again for Warrington. So safely in touch from Turner, and a chance now for Warrington deep inside the Widnes half. Malloy tackled by Dave Marsh. Not Samati, but a good tackle there from Lamb. Quickly up on Kevin Samati. Malloy. A long pass. A chance for Warrington to move down the right. Looking for his man inside. But the trialist centre brings him down a yard inside from the touchline. On the Widnes 25. Good strong run from Mark Foster. So Warrington moving the ball across the field. A long pass, finds Tamati out wide on the left, who offloads the ball in the tackle, and still a chance for Warrington with the big number 8, Phil Capewell, making a strong dash for the line, but a good tackle from Dave Myers. But in fact no, the referee decides that Capewell made it to the line, and so a very good try for Warrington. After 20 minutes of this first half, Warrington moved the ball quickly across field, where Tomati brought the ball back inside, but the supporting Phil Capewell made a very strong run from the 25, who offloaded to Reynolds in support, and that results in the scoreboard reading Warrington 8, Widnes 0, with about 21 minutes of this game gone. So Robert Turner has this conversion attempt way out on the left-hand side of the field on the Widnes 25. But he's already kicked 2 very good goals. And with a very strong following wind, must fancy his chances with this conversion attempt. Linesman's flag stay down on that occasion. The ball drifting wide of the right upright. And so after 22 minutes of this first half, Warrington move out to an 8-0 lead. So Jonathan Davies restarts the game again for Widnes. Another long kick towards the corner, with a try scorer Phil Reynolds returns the ball midway between the 25 and his own try line. Obviously up to now the referee's been very keen on the offside decisions, and that's resulted in a fair number of free kicks. Warrington doing very well again. Good support play from Warrington, and the man being tackled doing very well, offloading the ball. Warrington trying to move the ball down the right-hand touchline, but a combination of Turner and the trialist centre bring the Warrington man to ground. But again, Warrington moving the ball sweetly across field. Malloy with a long pass, but an excellent tackle from Dave Marsh, who moved up very quickly on Phil Sumner and brought off an excellent tackle. Kick through by Warrington. Well, Horton does very well to tap that ball back to the supporting Andy Sullivan, who throws the ball out to the right to Jonathan Davies. But that ball going to ground from Turner. And Warrington again then. Frank Malloy being harassed there by the Widnes tackler, and that results in a knock-on just inside the Widnes half. Andy Sullivan will feed the scrummage. The referee deciding that Widnes were collapsing the scrummage and have awarded Warrington yet another penalty. As I said, Robert Turner probably been the busiest man on the field so far, in the kicking department, that is. And another good kick from Turner takes Warrington down onto the Widnes 25. So Widnes under some pressure again. Tomati, held up this time by Lamb and by Ashurst. Malloy, Turner. So on the Widnes 25 in centre field, Warrington switch play back. Long pass this time, but a knock on by the Warrington number 10, Phil Sumner. In his haste to get that ball out to his centre, maybe he just took his eye off the ball.
This is a police message. One is a Ford Escort registration number B880YDN, and the other one is an unknown car, which is registration number D7014HF.
So that free kick for Widnes takes them up just inside the Warrington half, and a chance maybe for Widnes to move the ball now. Warrington up to now have not allowed Widnes to move the ball very well. Sullivan. Warrington quickly up there on the Widnes trialist centre, and in fact Widnes lose 3 or 4 yards from that play the ball. Ashurst trying to go from half back, but a good tackle from Dave Harris from Warrington. But in the end, Mr. Nicholson deciding that that was an unfair challenge from Harris, and in fact, due to that word he had with the referee, he lost another 10 yards, and that now has put Widnes in a good position, 7 or 8 yards from the Warrington line. So Dave Lamb at first receiver. A bit of time since Widnes were up in this position. They've had to give way to a bit of territory to Warrington during the first 25 minutes or so. So just to the left of the post, Smith at half-back to Sullivan, switches it back inside to Horton. 8 or 9 yards from the Warrington line in centre field. Smith brings the ball left, Sullivan. A good pass, Myers. With that ball going to ground in an attempt to get the pass to the Widnes left centre. And Kevin Rea, the Warrington right wing, drops on the loose ball. But the referee decides that Warrington didn't play the ball from the correct position where the man was tackled, and has awarded Widnes a free kick. So Smith to Lamb. You feel that perhaps Widnes should try and move the ball quickly along the line, because up to now the Warrington forwards have held very fast indeed. So moving towards the post now, 5 or 6 yards from the line. Sullivan switches it left again to the centre, who makes amends for that knock on a minute or two earlier with an excellent try for Widnes. Widnes appeared to be moving the ball to the right. Sullivan again used the tactic of switching to the blind side. And a trialist centre for Widnes, big number 4, took the ball very well, stepped inside the full-back, and under pressure made it to the line for a very good try. So just what Widnes needed, you feel, with just about half an hour of this first half gone. Warrington forwards were appearing to get on top of the game rather, and perhaps that's just the break that Widnes need. So with about 28 to 29 minutes gone of the first half, the score is Widnes 4, Warrington 8, and it will be Jonthan Davies from this near touch line, 28 yards from the try line, into a very, very strong breeze with this conversion attempt. Well, the distance was right, a very strong kick, but the ball holding up in the wind and just fading to the right of the post. So with about half an hour of this game gone, Widnes back in the game at 4 points to 8. Robert Turner to restart the game for Warrington. And the ball returned by Phil Horton. Widnes now attempting to step the pace up. Excellent run from Dave Myers coming into the line from full-back. So Widnes then maybe feel that they must wind the pace up to counteract this strong forward tackling from Warrington. Jonthan Davies tries to kick the ball downfield. It hits a Warrington player, but he recovers very well and throws out a long pass to Dave Myers. Dave Myers doing very well, stepping through the Warrington cover and making an excellent run up towards halfway. An excellent run by Myers. Now the game quickly comes to life. Widnes with a chance to move the ball. Smith. So for a change, Warrington under some pressure here. In fact, it's taking 3 Warrington tacklers to bring Smith to ground. Sullivan switching it back inside. Again, Dave Myers doing very well when he comes into the line for Widnes. Widnes now going through a fine spell here. Smith playing the ball to himself and taking play to within 10 yards of the Warrington line. Good play by Widnes from their own half of the field. Sullivan trying to work the switch ball with Horton, and in fact doing very well, stepping through the gap. The fullback's a beat and races towards the post for an excellent Widnes try. Well, that was good play by Widnes. That try came from deep inside their own half, using all 6 tackles. Dave Myers had a lot to do with that try, making 2 surging runs during those 6 tackles to set up that position for Widnes. And then on the 6th tackle, Andy Sullivan working the run around with Phil Horton, stepped through a Warrington gap and then took the fullback on and raced between the posts for a very good try for Widnes. So with about 22, 23 minutes gone of the first half, Jonthan Davies kicks Widnes into a 10-point to 8 lead. So a fine spell for Widnes during the last 10 minutes. And they're 8-0 down. Warrington seems to have a firm grip on this game. But Widnes have had a very good 10 minutes. Due in no small way to Dave Myers coming into the attacking line and making some very good runs from full-back. Jonthan Davies for Widnes. Switches it back inside to the trialist winger. Another trialist prop forward. Brought to ground by 2 Warrington forwards. Smith at half-back. Dave Lamb coming at first receiver. But that attempted inside pass. Finding Phil Sumner, the Warrington prop forward. And so a chance then for Warrington to put some pressure back on Widnes. Good run by Foster. Just outside the Widnes 25. Kevin Tamati from half-back. With a short ball, but a good tackle by 2 Widnes forwards. Warrington move the ball left. At the moment, the Widnes line holding very well. The tackling very keen from both sides. Good tackle there from Smith and from Sullivan. So the referee signals the 6th tackle. Malloy with a kick towards the Widnes line. And Turner does very well to bring play up towards his own 25. Smith again from half-back. Well, the crowd felt that that tackle from the 2 Warrington forwards was a little high, but Mr. Nicholson deciding not so. And Chris Ashurst from half-back trying to work the ball towards the centres and wingers. Andy Sullivan with a kick downfield. And a very good kick it is too. Taking play well inside the Warrington half of the field. So Warrington on the halfway line. Malloy from half-back. Tamati taking the ball on the blind side. And Foster taken very well indeed by the trialist prop forward for Widnes. So a chance now for Warrington to move the ball along the field. A kick through. And in fact, doing very well. A chance for Warrington. But a good tackle by the covering Andy Sullivan. Warrington still pressure on the Widnes line. Moving the ball to the right. Robert Turner, the standoff. Brought down 5 or 6 yards from the Widnes try line. So Warrington moving it to the blind side. With the big number 10, Phil Sumner tries to force his way over. Warrington still pressurising the Widnes line. With that kick through by Chris Rudd. A little too strong and the ball going into dead. So with about 4 minutes left of this first half, it will be a tap to Widnes on their own 25. Smith going himself, and Horton will be at half-back. Finding Sullivan. Ashurst, Widnes doing very well. Well, the referee immediately in there for that tackle on the by the Warrington number 11, Mike Thomas. And in fact, rather mistaken identity, it was Kevin Tamati. And Kevin Tamati has been sent off by the referee. And will in fact take no further part in this game. Kevin Tamati sent off for that high tackle. And so Warrington are down to 12 men with about 3 minutes of this first half left. Widnes then with a chance to move the ball across field. Critchley switching play back inside. So a last chance perhaps for Widnes to get on the scoreboard again. Sullivan. Marsh with a long pass to Dave Myers in the line again. Very strong runner, Dave Myers, doing very well. And in fact, getting the ball out in the tackle, Sullivan. Dave Marsh. Widnes doing very well to offload the ball in the tackle. Lamb keeping the ball going very well, Widnes. To take play 10 yards from the Warrington line. Excellent support play by Widnes. Well, that pass by the trialist number 8 going to ground, and in fact the ball all over the place at the moment. And in fact the referee decides that Phil Horton dropped on the loose ball and has given Widnes 6 tackles. So a chance for Widnes. Dave Myers in the line again, and the trialist centre again, but the cover this time quickly across to him. Still manages to offload the ball to Ashurst and Widnes. Good pressure from the Widnes team again. 3 or 4 yards from the Warrington line. Sullivan. Widnes in a good position to move the ball across field. Lamb at half-back. Throws the ball to Marsh, who switches play back. A good tackling by 2 Warrington players. About a minute left in this first half. Dave Myers trying to kick the ball through. And in desperation, a Warrington player kicking that ball behind his own goal line. 1 or 2 players having a bit of a set to just outside the try line, but the referee quickly quells any problems. And it will be Warrington to drop the ball out from underneath their own posts. So a good second period to this first half from Widnes. As I say, they were down 8-0 early in this game, but have come back very strongly in the latter half of this first half. That drop kick making it to halfway, but Andy Sullivan doing very well to take that ball on the full and return it midway between the Warrington 25 and halfway line. So a last chance perhaps for Widnes. Well, in fact, no time.
I think they just cocked up.
Well, a bit of a carnival atmosphere down on the touchline at the moment. Jonthan Davies doing a live link-up with the BBC, and the BBC are doing a live link-up with about 50 or 60 youngsters as well. I would think it would be very difficult indeed for the BBC to be picking anything that Jonathan's saying. As I say, since he's come to this club, the children have immediately taken him as a big favourite of theirs, and he can't even walk along the touchline now without being surrounded by, as I say, 50, 60, 70 youngsters. I would think that Jonthan himself would be as pleased as anybody when all this publicity and whatever settles down, and then he can get on, as coach Doug Lawton says, to being just another Widnes Rugby League player. Having said that, there are not many A-team Rugby League games where the BBC do live link-ups, and that says a lot for the man's charisma and reputation within the game. Well, welcome back to the second half. A little bit of an interlude at half-time there to keep the fans on the stand side happy. Well, I can see Colin Rigby taking his place on the bench, injured early in the game, so perhaps that injury to Colin not as serious as perhaps it may have looked. So, an exciting end to the first half, and Warrington start the second half, what promises to be an excellent game. Smith at half-back, 10 yards from the Widnes line, and the trialist put forward, trying to bring play up towards their own 25. Ashurst offloads the ball. Excellent run there by Critchley, has opened up a big gap, looking for support, moves round to the right and makes an excellent run into the Warrington half. A very strong run indeed. A great start to the second half. Critchley doing very well, running from his own 25 down towards the Warrington 25. So immediately then, Widnes putting pressure back on Warrington. Superb run by the Widnes substitute Critchley. A good 50-yard run, splitting the Warrington defence wide open. So Widnes moving the ball left, Myers in the line. So an early chance for Widnes to put pressure on Warrington, and up and under from Myers towards the Warrington line, but that ball bounces in dead. And results in a tap for Warrington on their own 25. Warrington trying to move the ball to the left. Widnes playing from left to right in the second half and have a very strong following wind. Mark Foster for Warrington, as I said, returning this evening after a long layoff with a broken leg. Mark, an excellent first division player. Trialist wingman for Widnes, keeping the play going in and out of the Warrington defence, and makes it to just inside the Warrington half of the field. Smith again then at half-back. So Ashurst, his second row partner. Two strong runners in the previous 18 game against Hull last week. These two lads ran very strongly indeed. Now Marsh with a long pass to the trialist wingman, met by two Warrington players just on their own 25. Sullivan moving the switch round, but that ball on that occasion going to ground, and Robert Turner, the Warrington standoff, dropping on the loose ball. So the pressure eased on Warrington for the moment. Warrington, remember, down to 12 men for the second half due to that sending off of Kevin Tamati late in the first half. Attempted kick through, and Sullivan doing very well. Now Jonthan Davies with a chance to run. Steps through one tackle and offloads to the centre, who makes a very strong run towards the Warrington 25. So Widnes again, quick hands with that ball, moving it across field, setting up a position for themselves. Now Marsh with a long pass to Critchley. As Critchley looks a very handy player. Sullivan switching it back to Marsh, looking for support. Widnes doing very well to take play 15 yards from the Warrington line. Smith at half-back to Horton. Moving towards the Warrington post, throws the ball back. Now the trialist put forward, met by the Warrington number 11, Mike Thomas. So Dave Myers-Smith with an excellent piece of play. Excellent piece of individual play from Smith from half-back. A little grubber kick, and then picking up a very difficult ball at speed and diving over under the Warrington post for a very good try. So an excellent start for Widnes in his second half. With about 6 minutes gone of the second half, Widnes move out to a 14 points to 8 lead. Well, some considerable pressure by Widnes for 5 or 6 minutes there resulted in a fine try by Smith. As I say, to move Widnes into a 14 points to 8 lead. So Jonthan Davies with a conversion attempt right in front of the posts.
Conversion number 6, Jonthan Davies.
So after about 7 minutes of the second half, it's Widnes 16, Warrington 8. Robert Turner to restart the match for Warrington. Good strong run from the trialist prop forward, met by Malloy and the Warrington prop forward. Now Marsh. Myers again in the line, pushing off an attempted tackle. Inside. Good play by Widnes. Actually, just a mistaken identity. That was Chris Ashurst, who made an excellent run down the touchline. Pushed it inside to Turner, who in turn tried to put the return ball out to Ashurst. The ball just going to ground on the Warrington 25. Malloy putting the ball in, but it comes out on the Widnes side. And Turner gets tackled on the Warrington 25. Widnes moving the ball across field. Marsh. Myers now comes into the line. So it was a long pass, well taken by the centre. Doing very well to take that ball to Sullivan. Critchley trying to step inside the tackle, but well met by 3 Warrington forwards. Jonthan Davies, well tackled by Forster, just outside the Warrington 25. Sullivan with a high kick. Warrington number 5 takes it very well under pressure from Dave Marsh. Warrington themselves still under pressure near their own line, having to work this ball away, and in fact losing the ball. And the Widnes number 8 trialist makes good inroads to 5 or 6 yards from the Warrington line. An injury there to the Warrington number 12, Nigel Geary. The trainer coming on. But Widnes still in a very good position, 5 or 6 yards from the Warrington line. Smith throws the ball back inside to Marsh. Now Sullivan throwing the ball wide. Davies trying to throw the ball out to the centre. Has his wingman in support. And in fact almost gets over the Warrington line. And the referee says that he does so. So again, Widnes moving the ball very quickly, resulting in a fine try.
Widnes number 2, A.N. Other.
So the trialist getting on the score sheet. When he received that ball 5 or 6 yards from the Warrington line, he was under some pressure, stepped inside, and then outside again, and did very well to put the ball down near the corner flag. So with 10 minutes of the second half gone, Widnes move out to a very comfortable looking 20 points to 8 lead. Seem to have weathered that first 20 minutes pressure from Warrington. And in fact, since midway through the first half, it has been all Widnes in this game. So Jonthan Davies with a conversion attempt way over on the far touchline. The ball is long enough, but the direction not there. And so the scoreline stays after 10 minutes of the second half. Widnes 20, Warrington 8. In the meantime, Warrington making a substitution. Where Brennan, number 15.
Substitution for Warrington. Brennan replaces number 12, Geary.
Brennan replaces the second row man, Nigel Geary, for Warrington. In the meantime, Dave Myers again. Very strong runner, Myers, from his own line. And setting up a position for Widnes. But a good tackle there from the Warrington centre on Jonthan Davies. Lamb taking play to midway between the halfway and the Widnes 25. Referee deciding that that ball went backwards from Sullivan. And a long kick downfield by Jonthan Davies. The ball rolling down towards the Warrington 25, where number 5, Phil Reynolds, brings the play back towards the Widnes defence. Damien Gregory, the Warrington full-back from half-back. And now the substitute for Warrington, Brennan. Good play by Warrington. Put forward, almost finding a gap in the Widnes defence. But the line holding very steady on the halfway line. Now Frank Malloy. Frank Malloy, an ex-Great Britain Barler player, when he used to play his amateur rugby league with the Sims Cross Club in Widnes. But now a chance for Mark Foster for Warrington, making a good run towards the Widnes line. Very strong run, but good cover from Dave Marsh and Dave Myers, combining very well, but a very good run by Mark Foster from about 30 yards, but well taken out by the covering Dave Myers and Dave Marsh. Good rugby from both attacker and defenders. That resulting in a scrum down 5 or 6 yards from the Widnes line. Warrington player just making some adjustments to his boots. Mr. Nicholson holding up the scrummage for a minute or two. So that attempt by Mark Foster could have put Warrington back into this game. And we wait to see whether that gives Warrington some heart. But in the meantime, Widnes get the ball out of the scrum on their own line. Jonthan Davies steps between two men. He's got 80 yards to run. This is what the crowd have come to see. He faces the full-back. Steps round the full-back, but an excellent tackle by the Warrington full-back on Jonthan Davies. But that's what this large crowd have come to see. Jonthan Davies, the one flash of brilliance, steps inside his opposite number and quickly made 50, 60 yards towards the Warrington 25. But a very good tackle by the Warrington full-back. He stood his ground and thought nothing of reputations and made an excellent tackle. But in the end, the referee deciding that he held Davies down for too long, and that has resulted in a penalty being awarded to Widnes 30 yards from the line. And it will be Jonthan Davies himself with this penalty attempt 30 yards from the Warrington posts in centre field. And this time the linesman flags are up, signalling 2 points by Jonthan Davies. So after that cameo of a run from his own line, setting up that position for that penalty, Davies now pushes Widnes out to a 22 points to 8 lead with about 15 or 16 minutes gone of the second half. Obviously that run from Davies will have delighted this large crowd, who have turned up in numbers again to see him play his second full game of rugby league. So Turner, the Widnes wingman, returning the ball from his own line, was met by 3 Warrington players. So this crowd again this week, as with the last week's game against Hull, being well entertained by this A team from Widnes. And I'm sure, as I said last week, that the spin-off could be that quite a few people, even when Jonthan Davies isn't in the A team, will still turn up to see what is in fact a very entertaining young side that Widnes have. Davies with a strong kick downfield. Good run by the Warrington number 10. The ball intercepted by Davies, who moves the ball to the left to Ashurst. Davies on the loop, doing very well. And the crowd appreciative of that little move from Davies as well. So again, Widnes applying pressure deep inside the Warrington half. Lamb taking the play in towards centre field. Now Sullivan to Horton, tries to go through the gap himself. Now Sullivan to Dave Marsh, switches play back inside to the trialist put forward, who makes an excellent run and offloads the ball to Sullivan, but the referee deciding that that pass from the trialist put forward was perhaps a yard forward. But a good run by the trialist brought forward and good support play by Sullivan. That results in a scrum down just inside the Warrington 25, but we're not going to have the scrum down because the referee has decided an infringement by the Widnes pack and has awarded Warrington a free kick. So Robert Turner with a good strong kick against this wind, safely into touch. And Phil Capewell, the Warrington number 10, making a good run, trying to take play up towards halfway. Frank Malloy, but at the moment the tackling from Widnes very good and not allowing Warrington any movement at all. But a kick downfield by Warrington. That goes in touch on the full. And so it will be a scrum down 2 or 3 yards inside the Warrington half in centre field. Mr. Nicholson deciding that the Warrington pack were collapsing the scrum, and so a free kick to Widnes. Davies boots that ball safely into touch with a good strong kick with his following wind, and setting up a good position for Widnes here again. Lamb at first receiver, but met by his opposite number with strong tackling. So Widnes in a very good position to move the ball across field. Sullivan doing very well to pick that ball on Dave Marsh, going through a gap, looking inside. Referee judging that Sullivan knocked on 2 or 3 yards from the Warrington post. So it's a scrum down, as I say, just outside the Warrington posts. Warrington obviously finding it difficult being a man down in the pack. The ball moved out to Davies. As I say, finding it difficult. A man short now without Kevin Zamati to hold this Widnes pack, who are playing well anyway. And they would have found it just as difficult, I feel, with a full complement of men. In the meantime, Widnes, David Marsh, trying to go himself towards the Warrington post. And so Widnes have got a couple of choices here, going either way from this play the ball. Smith decides to go left. Horton making a run towards the line, and indeed forces his way over just to the left of the post. With about 21 minutes gone of this second half.
Try for Widnes. Widnes, number 13, Paul Hull.
So that try obviously taking Widnes into what is now a really comfortably 26 points to 4 lead. That leaves Jonthan Davies with another comfortable position for this conversion attempt. And that ball again sailing out of the ground. The linesman's flag's raised. And so as we move into the final quarter of this game, Widnes in what probably seems an unassailable 28 points to 8 lead. Warrington restart the match. And the very busy Smith doing very well and playing the ball to himself. As I said last week, the two second row men for Widnes, Smith and Ashurst, very busy players indeed. Non-stop running from the two of them. Two very fit young lads. In the meantime, a free kick to Widnes. But play held up for a moment or two. An injury to the Warrington number 8, Phil Capewell, attempting to tackle Smith a minute or two earlier. The trainer now seeing to what appears to be some sort of shoulder injury. Referee just checking with his watch. Obviously you have to have this time on for what is looks a nasty injury to the number 8, but he's getting to his feet now. And warm applause in this packed grandstand as Phil Capewell takes up his position again. So back to the free kick, Jonthan Davies. Another solid punt from Davies. Takes play 15 yards into the Warrington half of the field. Smith missing out, Lamb, Sullivan, Marsh, now Ashurst. Good play by Widnes, moving the ball across the field. The trialist wingman coming inside and indeed offloading the ball to his centre, but Ashurst just knocking on, and the referee saying that Ashurst used his elbow unfairly and has given Widnes, Warrington rather, a free kick. So as I said, the A team on these last 2 weeks, with the first team not having a game, have rather taken the limelight, with Jonthan Davies being in the ranks, and the crowd on both these games are well entertained by a very fast young Widnes A team. Good run by Sumner, the Warrington number 10, to take play inside the Widnes 25. That was a very strong run. So Warrington then with a chance to move the ball. But a knock on by the Warrington number 11, Thomas. And it will be a scrum down on the 25. Perhaps Jonthan Davies has not had the running chances that this crowd have come to see. And nonetheless, every game he plays is another lesson learned. And as Coach Doug Lawton has said, he planned to use Jonthan Davies now and again in the first team for the rest of the season, but obviously a change of thinking due to that tragic injury to Tony Myler. Tony Myler, a player that was at his top of his game until that bad accident where he broke his ankle against Salford. So obviously these games will all go well for Davies, as perhaps he's used in the first team a little more this season than perhaps he thought he may. Still back to tonight's game, and it will be Davies, in fact, with his kick into touch. So Smith with the tap on halfway. This trialist number 8's run very strongly indeed for Widnes tonight. The referee was right on the spot there, and deciding the prop forward illegally used his feet when being tackled, and has given Warrington rather a free kick just inside their own half. Robert Turner with a good solid kick into touch, and now it'll be Frank Malloy with the tap for Warrington. Turner trying to miss a player out with that ball going to ground. Now Widnes pick up the loose ball, and Lamb takes play just over the halfway line. Smith to Sullivan, now Myers joining the line again. Widnes then with a chance to move the ball to the right. Smith trying a little grubber kick. But Warrington, through Robert Turner, alive to that situation. Warrington trying to make ground up this near touchline, but the Widnes tackling holding very fast. Malloy with a kick for Warrington.
Come on.
Jonthan Davies with a kick through, and now a chase for the line by Davies. A chance then for his first strike. Widnes picks up the ball, and that's what the crowd have turned up to see. Jonthan Davies with a piece of individual skill, 40 yards from the Warrington line. He noticed that the Warrington fullback wasn't in his regular position, kicked over the defence, raced towards the Warrington post, scooped up the loose ball with one hand, and planted the ball firmly behind the post. Well, that's exactly what this crowd turned up to see, and Jonthan Davies delivered the goods. Now Jonthan Davies will attempt to convert his own try, and with half an hour of the game gone, Jonthan Davies pushes Widnes out to a 34 points to 8 lead, and in fact that is the last action we'll see from Jonthan Davies in this game. The Widnes coaching staff saying that's quite enough, job done for tonight, and the stands rise to Davies for that fine try, being replaced by another trialist. So Jonthan Davies scores his first try in rugby league, and a fine individual one it was. But back to the game now. And Widnes A team playing very well to smoothly run into a 34 points to 8 lead with about 10 minutes of this game left. Now Sullivan tries the same thing, that ball just moving out of his reach, and the Warrington substitute drops on the ball on the halfway line. So Mark Forster trying to force Warrington into the Widnes half of the field. Dave Lamb took a bit of a knock from that tackle. He's back up on his feet okay. The Warrington number 5, Paul Reynolds, going from half-back, attempting to find a gap in this seemingly very strong Widnes defence. But Warrington now moving inside the Widnes 25. And up and under from the Warrington second row man. The ball bounces off a Widnes player. The ball all over the place at the moment. And a Widnes player dives on the loose ball. 3 or 4 yards from his own line. Now Horton moving the ball to the blind side through Ashurst. And Turner. Sullivan with a long kick downfield. And the referee deciding that the Warrington substitute full-back didn't in fact knock on. He said that the ball bounced off his chest. 1 or 2 decisions this evening by the referee, not entirely to the crowd's liking. Nonetheless, Warrington with the ball midway between halfway and the Widnes 25, moving it to the right. But good cover tackling by Widnes. Attempted kick through there by Robert Turner, taken by Dave Marsh. Now Phil Horton driving into the Warrington defence. The ball coming out in the tackle. And Robert Turner met by his namesake Turner for Widnes. Frank Malloy with a long pass. Sumner coming back inside, met by the trialist number 8 for Widnes. Little bit of an off the ball incident there between the 2 prop forwards, but it doesn't come to anything, and the referee decides a knock on by a Warrington player, and that results in a scrum down midway between the halfway line and the Widnes 25. Referee deciding that Widnes were not binding properly and have awarded Warrington a free kick. And Robert Turner puts the ball safely into touch, and a chance then for Warrington. With about 6 or 7 minutes of the second half left, Mark Foster, who appears to have come through this return game of his without any knocks or anything, and probably it won't be too long before Mark Foster is back into the Warrington first team. Still Malloy trying to go himself, looking for support, gets it from Turner, throws the ball out wide. So Warrington keeping the ball moving, and in fact putting some pressure on the Widnes line. Malloy, but the Widnes line holding very well. A short ball to the prop forward, and in the end the ball pops out to Critchley, the Widnes substitute, on his own line. Now Widnes moving the ball very well, and the trialist centre makes it up to his own 25. Well, that indeed sounds a very popular announcement tonight. The Widnes number 12, Dave Smith, receiving the Man of the Match award for a non-stop, tireless display in the second row. Strong runner, good tackler, always wanting to be involved in a game. Played very well tonight. So Widnes then, even in the dying throes of this game, keeping the ball moving very well. Now Sullivan, good support play by Widnes. And the referee hasn't let any incident whatsoever go tonight. The whistle is blown on any occasion that he's seen something illegal. And indeed pulling up the Warrington rather, substitute forward for using his feet in the tackle. And so it will be Dave Marsh with the free kick for Widnes. And that goes into touch safely, 3 or 4 yards from the Warrington 25. So Smith, to his second row partner Ashurst, moves the ball infield. Sullivan switching play round to Dave Marsh, looking for support from Horton. Now Mark Foster picks up the loose ball, but some good tackling from the Widnes cover. And again the referee blowing the whistle, deciding Widnes unfairly held Forster to the floor, and that will result in a tap now to Warrington midway between the Widnes 25 and the halfway line. Malloy. Warrington throwing the ball right across field. The right winger Kevin Raya is held up by the Widnes centre, the trialist. So Warrington moving the ball back across field. Substitute forward. Brennan trying to make inroads into the Widnes defence, but it's holding very well. With about 2 or 3 minutes left of this game. Referee ruling a knock-on. And obviously the dismissal of Kevin Tamati has had some bearing on this second half. Warrington been a man short. And when Widnes, the speed of the Widnes A team, the backing up support play, has capitalised very well on that extra man. Very good play by the trialist prop forward, who gets the ball away in the tackle. The referee deciding that it was a knock-on by Widnes, and it will be a scrum down. So Widnes again scores 6 tries again in the A-team. As I say, a very big A-team crowd have been well entertained again tonight by Widnes. Now Malloy for Warrington, going himself from the scrum. And the referee bringing out the trialist substitute back for Widnes, telling him that the tackle was a little too high. And so with about a minute left of normal time, Warrington putting some pressure on the Widnes line, perhaps looking for a late try that all their second half effort deserves. A good strong run from Thomas takes play to within 2 or 3 yards from the Widnes line. Warrington moving the ball right out to the right. But some excellent tackling by the Widnes cover. Sullivan doing very well to bring down the prop forward. And the referee deciding that the Warrington player at half-back knocks on. And so it will be a scrum down 2 or 3 yards from the Widnes line. Sullivan bringing the ball away from the scrummage and making 10 or 15 yards with a very strong run. So a chance for Widnes then, right at the end of the game, to try and move this ball away from their own line. Ashurst. Now to Lamb at first receiver. Fair play to the Warrington players though, being a man short, they've tackled very well, but in the end, the extra man and the speed of the Widnes team has reflected in that scoreline. Number 5, Reynolds, taken by Dave Marsh. Dave Marsh again. For Warrington, 13, Harris. The Widnes tackling appearing to be as firm as right at the start of the game. The pace of this game has been very good, non-stop throughout. Indeed, it just goes to show the high standard of rugby league today, when the A teams, the reserve sides, can put on a display as good as this from both sides. High speed rugby league. And if any of these lads have to be called upon to come into the first team, then I'm sure that they won't let anybody down. Well, we're now playing time. It's been added on to 1 or 2 injuries that the referee must be adding. And Robert Turner takes play 15 yards from the Widnes line. Now Malloy, a local lad, as I say, played for many years for Sims Cross, and indeed a Great Britain parlour captain on a couple of occasions, taking play to within 2 yards of the Widnes line. Throwing the ball out to the substitute forward. And Mr. Nicholson blows the whistle for full time on what's been a very entertaining A-team game, and Widnes finally beat one.